This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Everybody, Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talks. Are you serious? Right here on Northeast Streaming Sports Network. We're live this morning on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. We're live on God knows where. We'll be on Roku later on today at noon. So we welcome all of you and thank you for your continued participation in our show. I'll be joined in a second by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. Glad to be back in the studio after a beautiful 8 or 9 days in the Caribbean, and now it's 1.5 feet of snow coming here. So I'm so happy to be back and watching this out the window. Anyway, hope you guys have all had a great week. Tried to do some stuff from the show. Hopefully it came across okay. I know some did, some didn't. I got a little gripe with Carnival this time with my Wi-Fi access, which they have promised to make right. Quick good mornings before I bring Carlos into Dave Guyette. Good morning, and Rick Sherlock. How are you today? We'll bring in Mr. Carlos Chavez, the Mad New Yorker, right now. Hello, Carlos. How are you?
Morning, everybody. How you doing? Good morning, Keith. Glad to see you back.
Feel like I haven't seen you in a month. How you been?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Saw some shots of you on the streets and the sights in New York City with your was it your daughter?
My son, yeah. My
oh gosh, sorry. I knew it was a child.
No, sorry. I have a daughter as well. So.
That looks like you guys were having fun the other day, so that's good. Enjoying some warm weather before this. Are you getting the snow down south there or not?
Yeah, we got a few flurries here and there. Wasn't too bad. Got a lot of rain right now. So
yeah, we got about 8 inches here right now, and it is coming down really hard. So we're probably going to get over 1 foot today for sure. So anyway, who wants to talk about the weather? Well, we got so much sports to talk about.
A lot of sports, man.
We're going to talk so long. Well, somebody else is in here. Good morning, Alan. Good to see you this morning. Rick warned us last night that he'd be here live today. He's got a snow day, apparently. But welcome all of you to the show, as always. So let's jump into a college. Let's talk a little college. We'll talk a little NFL football to get started. We haven't had a chance to talk about the Super Bowl. We can chat about that a little bit. There's some topics with Aaron Rodgers we can chat about. Anything else you got in your mind? I got an interesting, I think it's an interesting story about McVay and some of the stuff going on with the TV contracts.
All right.
As well. So lots to dive in there too. And we want to talk a little Major League Baseball. We're going to try to do some NCAA basketball. We'll try to do Knicks and Nets, but it's a lot. So we'll see what we get to. Let's start out with the NFL. And real quickly, let's kind of go back and recap the Super Bowl since it seems like it was a month ago now. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the game.
I just saw it 5 times, man. I was trying to figure it out. Like
5 times.
Yeah, because it wasn't it wasn't one team overpowering another. You know, they were evenly matched. Actually, for the first time, you got a pretty decent Super Bowl where the teams were evenly matched, player to player. You know what I'm saying? So. It looks like just the Bengals just gave it away with those 4 punts. They didn't make those first downs, and that was pretty much what stopped them. So
yeah, a lot of people have been up in arms about the officiating, and the officiating wasn't great, but to me, I always say this: you can't let officials beat you. Don't put yourself in a position to get beat by officials. Do I think officials were giving back a call at the end of the game, a holding call, which was ticky-tack on Cooper Kupp? No. But don't put yourself in that position to get beat, Bengals fans. I mean, that's all I can tell you. You got one, and they took one. So
yeah, I mean, like at that one head-to-head hit, Kupp should have been out of the game and should have gone through the protocol, but. Other than those things, the Bengals just didn't. They ran the ball pretty well. They just didn't spread the ball out. A lot of guys missed catches. So
I found it interesting that in a couple of crucial running situations that Zach Taylor did not call Joe Mixon's number. He had Patine in there, which I could not understand for the life of me. So that's
I mean, they had him going. They had him going, and the defense was over pursuing, right? Because they knew that O-line was not strong. So, they just missed their opportunities to run the ball and get those first downs. That's why running game's important, and they just McVay got lucky with OBJ making those big runs in the beginning of the game before he got hurt, and then Stafford pretty much said, if I'm going to win the game, it's going to be with Cooper Kupp, and he went for it. So,
say good morning to Anthony Price this morning. He's talking about how they targeted Eli Apple, which they did. I mean, is he the person to blame entirely? No. I mean,
he was one of the older guys on the defense, so I would have targeted him too.
Well, he's had a very up and down career as it is. I mean, he played well during the playoffs for the Bengals.
He's a playoff. He played for the Giants, so he has a lot of experience. But it's not just Eli. It wasn't just Eli Apple. I mean, if you watch the game and just look at all the small things, LA was over pursuing Burrow. The O-line couldn't hold up. The running game was working. They didn't go with it when they had to, like we said, and there was a couple drops, crucial drops, and then overthrows by Burrow, and again 4 punts. They punted the ball away 4 times, and LA out of one of them ended up scoring. So it's like, it was just one of those things where the small little things started to add up, and Cincinnati had more bad than good.
And it was, as you said at the top, it was I felt very evenly matched matchup of teams, and a break at the end. And Rick brings up a very good point. When Aaron Donald woke up with that little sideline scrum, his entire game changed, and so did the Rams defense. And it did that. You could look at that as a turning point for the Rams in that game.
Von Miller was going off before Donald was going off, and there was a couple of times that they were offsides as well. I was watching that, and a couple of those guys were offsides, but they didn't call anything, and they weren't lined up fair. But I mean, those things happen, and they get overlooked sometimes. And if you're sitting there and breaking down the game after the game, you're gonna catch a lot of stuff. But the game is played, and you got to go with what's going on the field.
Yeah, the key things key takeaways I had were what I already talked about with those short running play calls by Zach Taylor. Donald waking up, I think, if I remember right, I'm trying to get my timeline right in my head. It was very shortly after Bengals had scored that second half touchdown, and they came out and got the ball right back on a turnover and did not. If they had converted a touchdown there, we might have seen a totally different game, but they didn't. Aaron Donald helped turn them around, and
now
it was a fun game.
I see both of these teams coming back to the playoffs if they make the right moves. They have enough youth, enough experience. Both of them been to the Super Bowl, so let's see if Cincinnati can get in that division, win it, and get back into the competition of the Super Bowl, the playoffs. And then the same thing with LA. Is McVay going to stay? Is he going to go? Even if he does, they have enough guys in that squad to make something happen. So
I think it'll be very interesting to see what Sean McVay does, because everything I'm reading is that Amazon is going to throw a bunch of money at him to team him with Al Michaels.
15 to 25 million, depending on years, right? Yeah. How many years he's going to be a broadcaster.
And he's not making that on the sideline, and he's won a Super Bowl, and he's coaching in a place where, if he doesn't win, nobody will be happy, as we know with Mark Mancini and whatnot. Yeah. So,
well, McVay's got a lot of energy, and he's got a face for TV. His voice is kind of raspy, but you get over that. Like everybody has a distinct voice. So
he's got a girlfriend for TV too. So
yeah, that helps.
Let's see what we got here. A couple other questions. Do we see Joe Burrow being the next Andrew Luck if he doesn't get help? If he doesn't get help, yes. But I totally would see the Bengals going all in on that offensive line in the draft next year and free agency.
Yeah, remember on the show before the Super Bowl, I mentioned to you that Price was one of the guys I'll be looking at.
Yeah,
I just don't like his stance, man. I don't know if he's, like I said, I don't know if he's hurt. He did a decent job all season, and he's but I don't see him as like a number one O line. You know.
Yeah, they've got weapons everywhere. So to me, they've got to focus on that offensive line in
for sure
in the draft for sure, as Rick is kind of pointing out here too. I know I missed. I want to stay on this a little bit. Yeah, there's another as far as TV contracts go. It looks like Troy Aikman is moving to ESPN. It'll be interesting who they team him with as well, because Michaels isn't wrapped up yet. Michaels is out of Al Michaels is out of Sunday Night Football. Mike Tirico's in. Chris Collingsworth's staying. So we don't know where Al Michaels goes. So we got a bunch of guys that are up in the air, and Troy Aikman is looking like he's going to that Monday night package on ESPN. So it's
good for him. He was doing a decent job for Fox. So
for radio, Rick's right about that too. Thank you.
I think he's talking about both of us.
Well, either way, whatever, wherever the shoe fits.
But he was doing good for Fox, and I think he was getting held back a little bit by not being with somebody who's played football, because he kind of wants to throw different game situations. Not to say that the other guys don't know about football, but it's just the acumen that you have as a QB, and someone like Troy Aikman. So Al Michaels wouldn't sound like a bad idea, to be honest with you. So
Al Michaels, it's hard for me to believe the guy's going to be 80 years old. He's like 78 years old. So not that he's slowed down that much, really. I mean, he looks great. And
no, but I mean, Al Michaels for one or two seasons isn't a bad deal to figure out who you can kind of like put in that position. Hey, Boomer Esiason was talking about like he would take less just to be for the amount of money that we're throwing around. So
I will tell our listeners and viewers, guys, get ready in the next few years to change the way you watch the NFL, because it's going to change dramatically. If you don't have that Amazon Prime, I suggest you get it, because they're going to have the entire Thursday night package, and they're going all in on the weekend games as well after this deal expires. So, and
then Apple TV they're still fighting for that.
Everybody's
still fighting for that football package. So
yeah,
it's not a done deal yet.
Yeah, lots of dominoes still to fall there.
Yeah.
Before I move off, we were talking a little bit about the draft, and I've talked about doing a little mock draft, probably on the college football show on Wednesdays. So I plan on having you involved if you're available. And Rick wants to know what team you would call for the draft. What team will you be picking for?
I'll be picking for both the New York teams, and I'll be selling both picks, so that way we can solidify every hole that's missing.
I don't know if we get involved in trades in this.
Both teams.
Our first round's got to go like an hour and a half. It can't go 7 hours. So
no, listen. Who do you want from the Giants roster? Because I know there ain't much to pick from. You can have them. Just give me some third, fourth round picks, and I'm sure I'll get some second round O linemen out of that, because there's not much on this draft to be. I'm waiting for.
I'm trying to get Rick's brother to pick for the Giants, so we may have to put you on the Jets. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh,
we might have to have guys double up. I don't know. We'll put something together going in the next few weeks. So.
I'm trying to make it easy. I'm telling you, I'm not going to be picking till the third or fourth round.
Well, you got to have somebody to trade with. What else we got here? Seems like everyone aside from CBS is on the move. Don't count them out either. Look, everything's going to change in the next 3 years. I'll tell you right now. You will not be watching football the way you are today. Viewership tends more towards the Manning. You know what? I love the Manning cast, to be honest with you. I don't know how much you've watched it on ESPN2. I know they re-up to do 10 games next year. It's much more enjoyable for me to watch a football game and watch those two guys kibitz than watching two guys just talk nonstop in the booth, or three guys even.
Yeah, I mean, I like it when they talk football. I'm not a big fan when they bring in people and they don't talk football. It's like, and then you kind of get distracted by the conversation and watching the game. But it's not bad. I like it.
I forgot we got Billy Pulver for the Jets too. We'll work this whole thing out. We know we got Allen taking the Giants.
Anybody taking the Titans? I'll do the Titans picks.
Oh, well, there you go. If Dave Guyette, I'm sure you're still here. I'm hoping you'll come on and do the Buffalo picks for us.
Oh, Buffalo.
Dave Guyette. So, what else we got? Aaron Rodgers. What? I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, is he coming back? It looks like they're trying to keep him. They brought in his one of his early mentors to be the quarterback coach.
So the deal in Green Bay is that they're working on a couple of deals to make sure Devontae Adams gets franchised.
Yep.
Without Devontae Adams,
he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah. So it's a done deal. They're just trying to figure out how much to sign Devontae Adams for to make sure they can sign Aaron Rodgers. The biggest problem is that Aaron Rodgers doesn't even know if he wants to stay. He can even retire. If he retires, it's no good for the Packers because they don't get anything out of the deal. So
yeah, it's going to be. I still think Aaron Rodgers needs to start over. The Green Bay Packers need to start over. There's just too much toxicity there.
Yeah, but Green Bay's afraid that if they start over, who are they going to have as a quarterback?
They've got to go get somebody. Everybody has to do that at some point. I can speak from history.
They have love, but they don't. As you can tell, they don't have much confidence in what they have in the, on the roster. So,
well, I was going to ask you too about the. Let's see what else we got here about Rodgers. I know Rick's probably got nothing nice to say about him. He should sign with the USFL Generals. You know what? That would be very interesting if the new USFL were to go out and sign Aaron Rodgers or some big star. I'm very interested. This is a little side note. I don't want to take too much time up with it. Do you have interest in the USFL this spring?
I just want to see guys that didn't make it to the NFL or, and see what they do. See if there's any hidden talent out there that was missed on draft day and that was missed in practice squads, because the amount of time that these guys get to play on the actual field is none, right? Because they got rid of spring, they got rid of the games, the pregame, preseason games, right? So, every once in a while you'll see guys come out and excel, right? For instance, when the Europe League was going on, you saw a lot of running backs, quarterbacks get a lot of exposure.
Kurt Warner was an MVP over there, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Who?
Kurt Warner.
Yep, Kurt Warner. And then the running back from, what's his name, who played for San Francisco, Phillips. Is that right?
It's not striking my memory, but doesn't mean...
The one who ended up going to jail.
Oh, the Rams. The guy from Nebraska?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't think
Phillips,
of
right? Isn't it Phillips?
It is Phillips. I can't think of his first name now, but
yeah. So he rushed for over 1,800 yards over there, and some of those guys ended up making to the NFL. So you will see potential talent, not all over the field, but when you see it, you want to see those guys maybe get a chance in the NFL, right?
When we talk about the USFL in the first incarnation, and again, you hide your age very well, Carlos, so I don't know how much you remember the first incarnation of the USFL.
What are you talking about? Herschel Walker, man.
I'm just kidding you. Jim Kelly.
Kelly.
Not go
Steve
to Buffalo.
Young.
Swore he'd never go to Buffalo. He became a big star in the USFL. Reggie White went to the USFL. Big names played in USFL, and that league would have made it if Donald Trump didn't come in and want
a lot of things could have happened and would have happened, but what happened, and water under the bridge, man. Because
they need to stay in the spring. This league, if they want to be successful, they got to stay in the spring.
But you have to understand too that time frame. Also, the NFL was looking at they almost fell apart. With the
Lawrence Phillips. There's our name, right?
Lawrence Phillips. Yeah, that's right.
So I do have some interest in this. I want to see how it goes. And, I didn't have any interest in the XFL. I didn't, the AF or
you hate me?
XFL is just unwatchable. But I'd like to see this maybe pan out.
I'm not gonna lie. When the off season's off, I missed Europe League football. I missed the World League football. Like, XFL, it was good just to watch football at least once a week. You didn't have to do
my thoughts on XFL football partnership. No.
Look, I've been telling you guys, and I've mentioned this like on a lot of talk shows and even with Robert at Sports Club. I said the NFL will eventually begin to create a similar program like the English Premier League, where every team is going to have a minor league team or a Division II team, and eventually they might move up and down teams. Eventually, this ain't going to happen tomorrow, but It's going to happen if they keep, getting all these teams together. And it's not a bad idea. Understand that, this is a business and they have to be able to support each other. Wow. And when you have a team that's not in a major city, but the community supports it, man, you can make some money,
I brought this up a lot since I started my shows, I think, and we've talked about things. You mentioned this type of, and I know more about it now that I watched Ted Lasso, so I know much more about this. And you know what? I have this big problem with tanking. This would solve tanking problems because nobody's going to get dropped from the Premier League, right? So, right. So it's an interesting concept. I don't know if it'll work here, but we'll see.
Hey, Keith, look. I don't know if a lot of people are not watching soccer, and I understand it's not everybody's game, but the MLS has done that. They have the USL, and they have a minor league program that's working. A lot of these up and coming cities are getting teams. That's how they got Orlando on there. That's how Charlotte's gonna get a team. Austin, Texas has these cities are up and coming cities that have huge communities that support soccer, and they're going to have an opportunity to one day be in the Major League Soccer. And it's good for them, and it's good for everybody who enjoys the sport because you're not going to get too much parity, and you're going to get more competition.
Yeah. Before I move on from football, Anthony did have a question that I missed about if we were the GM in Green Bay, who would you trade for? Who would you want to trade for if Rodgers was to leave?
Whoa.
I don't know.
Question. I don't think there's a good fit of a QB for actually being in Green Bay. Yeah. I'd say the best fit, and not because I'm a Russell Wilson fan, is Russell Wilson because he's played in Wisconsin. He knows the weather. Other than that, I'm not sure guys will enjoy playing in the tundra, in the frozen tundra, to be honest with you.
I don't think there's any names that are really going to fit there unless and they don't want to totally rebuild, right? They're still built to win now. So I think a Russell Wilson probably would make sense, as much as I hate to agree with you on Russell Wilson.
I mean, you just got to pick somebody who's going to win you the playoff game at home, right? Somebody who can bear the weather. So it's
Alan's got a couple of thoughts on this. Anthony, this is a sleeper pick, but Gardner Minshew, Gardner Minshew, I don't know. I just don't think this is a guy that can carry your team over 16, 17, 18 games, wherever we end up. He plays well in spurts, and he's a great guy off the bench. But
you just mentioned the thing, spurts. You need more consistency. And you know what? That's not really a bad name if you think about it, because you have to look at the teams that he was on. If you have a team like Green Bay and they're not like the Eagles and they're not like Jacksonville, Minshew could be a perfect fit. Because again, you don't have to be a great quarterback or the best quarterback. You just have to be able to win the games and play at your best when it counts.
Well, there's times he doesn't play within himself, though. He gets low.
But the talent around you has a lot to do with that as well.
Sure. And he's certainly a capable NFL quarterback for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He's a good he's a good backup.
Rick says, I'm sorry, it looks like we're going the other way. Look at baseball. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but we're going to look at baseball right now, I can tell you, because we're going to pivot. And let's take a look at where we are with Major League Baseball. I'm getting more and more.
They have until Monday, and the GMs are going to cancel games. That's the report.
That would be a disaster if they're not talking about postponing games.
Right? No, cancel. They're not going to make them up. No 7-inning games. Just
and
not have those games.
A nonsensical. These two guys, billionaires and millionaires, are arguing over. There's more than enough money to go around, and I cannot believe they cannot get a deal done here and haven't. Everybody said, "Oh, don't worry, they've got months. It's December 2nd." I said on December 2nd, they won't even get serious until they got a gun to their head, and now there's a gun to their head because if games start to get canceled, fans are going to get antsy. I can tell you right now.
Listen, this is bad news, Bears. This is as bad as it can get right now.
Minor leagues for baseball, yeah, I get it. Rick was talking about minor leagues for the NFL and how baseball's contracting, but
I mean, you have to set it up where it's a win for everybody, and I don't think that's possible, right? Because the rich get richer, and if you're a billionaire, you're going to stay a billionaire, and if you're a millionaire, you will stay a millionaire. You might not become a billionaire, right? So, at the end of the day, it's not about what we want. It's business, and business isn't that good for MLB right now. If you're looking at stats, you're looking at, all the information, even the players and, the union wanted more money for players that really aren't, compared to what we've seen in the past, some of these players are mediocre. They're not really all-star. They're all-stars because right now, if you compare them to the players in their time, yeah, they're all-star level. But if you compare them to, players in the past, you don't see good hitters like Tony Gwynn or Sheffield,
Well, the way they're taught now is just hit home runs and,
I mean, look, you still got to hit. You still got to go out there and hit the ball, right? And when these guys face the fastest fastball, they hit it, right? And when these guys were faced with, trying to win games, they played it out, right? Even Tony Gwynn wasn't the healthiest person, but he'll make it a second and third running really hard, trying. So like, baseball right now is in a tough situation. I mean, and they're trying to. It looks like they're trying to expand as well. So
the issue, and they're silly to expand further, especially now in the environment.
Well, they're going to get a new stadium in Oakland, so Oakland's not going anywhere. They just signed that contract. But Nashville and Portland and a couple cities want teams, and they're ready for teams. I mean, they're set up for teams. So
baseball's going to, if baseball doesn't fix this, it isn't going to matter about stadiums because fans are going to stay away in droves if this continues long into the regular season. I can tell you. And one thing that always bothers me too about these, and again, it's been 20 years since we've had a labor issue in baseball. So, but Rob Manfred has found a way to screw that up as well. I think the last minute to do this, and it's always the veteran. Here's my problem from the players' side. It's always the veteran players who got nothing to lose, nothing, not their money. They're playing with the lives and the careers of these guys in the minors or young kids even in the majors who aren't going to get paid, don't have the money put in the bank that these guys have got. And they're the guys making the decisions about whether they're going to play or not play. And that's always a problem I've had with every work stoppage back to 1972.
It's political. And it is what it is. It's a union, right? It's never the young guys that are fighting for what's available and what's going to be available in the future. It's the older guys because the older guys are vested, right? They want more money on the back end, right? They want to make sure if their retirement check comes in, it's not that, small little check. It's a nice, good check, and they can live off of it at the end, right? Yeah. So that's why they're involved because they're vested. But the younger guys, they just want to pick up a bat, pick up the ball, and go play on the field. Eventually they're going to be where the older guys are who are fighting. But right now the issue is these younger guys ain't getting paid. So pay them.
Get paid, right? They want to get paid faster, and they start to get back a little bit of on the service time before they're arbitration. Enough isn't going to be enough for them. They want it now. They want everything now, and that's part of the world we live in. We don't get to work towards things. We have to have it all right now. Plus, I don't want to let this pass. And quick good morning to my dad, by the way. Good morning, Bob. Good
morning.
And part of a lot of this is about money. And so is this last part that I want to talk about. But part of the thing they're still arguing about is this expansion of 14 teams in the playoffs, which I think is ridiculous. It's going to end up with a team having a bye in the first round. And what Major League Baseball team is built to sit around for a week waiting for a series to end?
Well, listen, they already have a lot of games on the table. There's already a lot of injuries.
Playoff teams.
I could see this maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, baseball going to 2 seasons, a spring season and a summer fall season. It's, because it's easier that way, right? I mean, if you think about it, you play 50 games, get a championship, play another 50 games. You still get your 100 games in, but you're making more money because you're going to get 2 different champions.
But again, my old fogeyism rearing its ugly head. That's not how baseball's been played for years.
Listen, things change, man. Football's changed, right? Football's not the same that it used to be in the 80s or even in the 70s.
You got to watch every interview Goose Gossage ever does because he's right about everything he thinks about baseball because he kind of agrees with me. But
look, they're talking about getting rid of the shift just to give guys a better opportunity to hit the ball.
Again, don't change rules. Teach guys how to play baseball. Right?
It's just the fact of the matter that you had that extra player in the outfield, man. Like you're not getting
can, Carlos, but don't diametrically change the game. Teach guys, hey, there's nobody standing over there. Hit the ball. Tony Gwynn would hit 500 if they shifted against him.
I don't know about that, but he'll try to hit 500. That's for sure, because that's his mentality, right?
But they wouldn't shift against Tony Gwynn either. So.
I'm just going to say, it's
you don't just get rid of it.
It's not about getting rid of it. It's about the opportunities that you create with not having that extra player on the outfield. That's all it is.
I am so tired of them putting in new.
And I don't either for it or against it. I'm just like, listen, just get on the field and play, and then figure it out.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Unless you're going to. And again, everything I hear is we're getting away from the runner on second base to start extra innings. We're not going to have 7-inning doubleheaders. Thank you. Let's not screw it up.
And let's not also listen. If COVID didn't happen, are we having this discussion? Like, COVID changed a lot of owners' minds, saying, "Oh my gosh, so anything can happen in at any moment, a war, another pandemic, and we're not going to make any money." And this is what the issue is.
Can baseball survive 2 years without playing games, Anthony? I don't know if they can survive 6 months without playing games. They're going to be in a lot of trouble if they miss a significant portion of this.
Look, they're already in a lot of trouble because they have some of these cities that they have gone out of because of their minor league teams have been contracted.
Yeah,
and they're not getting the support that they need from these minor league players that they used to have, right? Because they were everywhere and they were easily coming in. These teams are having a lot of injuries nowadays, so they need to have players to be able to come in at a decent level and replace them, and that's not happening either.
Well, who will be the big winners if they do miss a significant amount of games? The minor leagues will be the big winners because they will be playing games, and people will find out that there's good baseball being played at that.
Well, you'll get the independent league.
All the minor leagues will continue as.
Yeah, but the minor leagues are also owned by MLB.
But they're not locked out. They're not major league. They're not anybody who's not on a major league roster, on a 40-man roster, is eligible to play in the minor leagues.
Here's the issue.
Camp right now.
Yeah, but the problem is the union is not going to allow it because they're owned by. They're not going to go. It's like, hey, listen, just because the minors is open, they're going to be like, you're not allowed to play with an entity that's owned by the Major League Baseball because that's their fight, right?
They're not. Those guys aren't part of the union until they get to the major leagues and get on the 40-man roster. They're not even part of the union.
So you're talking about the guys who are in the minors and in between. You're not talking about the major league players who have contracts and play for teams.
I'm talking about anybody on a 40-man roster on a major league team. So
no, that's not how it works.
If Felipe isn't on the major league roster for the Yankees, which I don't think he is because he doesn't need to be, he can play minor league baseball right now.
He can, but not like someone like Judge can't.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're not on the major league.
But those are those guys on your on the roster, on the starting lineups. Those are the guys you want playing because those are the guys that you want when everything gets settled. They need to compete. Yeah,
this is probably good for the Yankees situation.
They're not spending any money and they're not looking to spend money, so this is good right now.
It's good because you may see the kids get a chance at shortstop and Felipe. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I can't wait to see him. You still got to get rid of your catcher and get a good second baseman. Yeah, we'll jump into that in another show because there's a lot to talk about with the Yankees for sure.
That's a mess. MLB is in a mess right now, and they need to get that fixed quick.
Let's get it fixed. And
they said that Scherzer and Kershaw were going to lose about $100,000 to $200,000 a game. That's ridiculous. Yeah. People don't even make that in 5 years.
Yeah, and guess what? He's made so much money; it isn't that big a deal to him either. It's a bigger deal. It's a bigger deal to the guy who's only making the minimum and was up for 6 months last year. Now he's screwed because he's not going to get paid. He's got to pay his bills.
What's the national average right now in wages? Is about maybe $19,000, maybe.
Oh, it's got to be more than that. Isn't it?
No, man. I'm talking about national. I'm not talking about where you live. I'm talking about national.
Is that right? Let's find out real quick.
And you're talking, and here's a guy complaining about losing $178,000, and another guy complaining about losing $215,000 a day.
67,000 is the average income in 2020.
67,000. That's not right. Nationally,
that's household income. Sorry, household income. Yeah, that's all I can find. We'll take it your word for now. regardless, I mean, these guys are nuts. And, Alan makes a great point here. They don't care, Alan, about the fans. It's very obvious that Major League Baseball doesn't care about the fans. The players don't care about the fans. They care about taking care of themselves. That's it. You're going to pay the price and you can say, Dave says, boycott the games. Is this the one? This isn't where he's got one here about boycotting games, and that's all well and good, but TV what also pays the freight, right? And unless TV pulls their money, then
they're not going to pull that. Some of that money is guaranteed already. So
ticket prices will rise, but you'll pay. It won't be just ticket prices. It'll be cable prices. It'll be streaming prices. All that will go up if the cost of Major League Baseball goes up. So we all pay, just like everything else. It's all about money, and that's what we talked about.
Yeah, that's why if you want to keep the cost down, you have to have multiple seasons. It just makes more sense, right? Wouldn't you want to go to a ballpark and pay $10, $15 for a seat instead of paying $30, $40, $50? And you see the same competition.
This is a good question for you, Carlos, because I know you have tickets with the Mets. If games are canceled during the regular season, will you guys still attend a game?
Yeah, and I also get money back.
Well, you will get your money back, right? Yeah. Well, for me, the more these things happen, the less I am to go empty my pocket out to go to games, live. It's happened with the NFL. It's happened with baseball. It's not that I can't afford to go. It's that, I got better things I want to do with that money than blow $1,000 to go to a game.
Listen, the Mets were in a bad slide after 15. My wife got some season tickets on a good deal. We were riding on that for a few years, and then COVID happened. So my price kind of stayed the same. And look, you can get good deals on tickets. It's just entertainment. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. If we want to boycott something, I mean, hey, boycott what you see on TV. Most of the stuff isn't true on the news. There's always half truths, and you got to figure out what really is happening and what reality is.
You got to watch more than one channel when you get.
Yeah. So boycott. What are you going to boycott? You got to find entertainment somewhere. If you like sports, it's going to be, heck, during the pandemic, a lot of us were caught watching, Korean baseball, and we were watching like golf.
Korean baseball every morning when I got up to go.
Yeah, like I was watching cricket and rugby. Like, listen, you got to find your entertainment somewhere. You want to boycott something, fine. If it fits in you and you want to do it, it doesn't mean that everybody else is going to do it.
Well, so let me put the question to you in a different way. If baseball were to strike and lock out, we didn't have a season this year, would it affect your fandom? Would you be going to games after that?
And I'll get my money back, and I'll buy tickets next year. It's just a way for me to not to do something different. The same thing when the movie theater's open. I went to a movie theater, we gotta find. I live in New York City. I gotta find something to escape.
They were shut down during a pandemic, right? This isn't millionaires taking the game away from you to be able to watch. To me, I'm gonna have a hard time going back if there's a significant loss of time in this season.
You know that with the movie theater industry, the movie industry, they're like closing down theaters and not and have less people working and have less options. So I mean, I want to boycott that because I think movie theaters are part of the community. But I mean, I'm gonna go see a movie.
Brings up a very good point here, and we forget about this, right? We talk about the fans, but the people that really get hurt are the vendors and all these restaurants and bars that surround the park.
Hotels,
everybody. There's so much trickle down effect that people don't think about, including and most importantly, the owners and players.
And which I mentioned before, like these owners know this because they're going through this COVID and they see how much money they're losing, right? So they're not easily gonna bend over either,
Likely what Anthony's Price is asking about here, if sponsors start to drop away, major sponsors, and TV networks start to say, we're not paying you for half a season as much as we are for a full season, or when we're going to renegotiate our contract, that's when things will change. Take that money away, and you'll see these guys start.
Yeah, but you know what? Again,
Alan wants to boycott Dan Snyder.
they might just go. You say that the minor league's not affected. They might just go into minor leagues and start pumping money in there just to have something and make money from. So that's why it's not really a lost cause.
Mel Rojas. There's it can't be the Mel Rojas I'm thinking of, Rick. I think he played a while ago, so maybe it's his son played for the Amsterdam Mohawks he's referring to and played overseas during the COVID shutdown. So
yeah, a lot of guys try to, like, some places were available to play, but like Puerto Rican League didn't play, and
they play for South America, did they? Or the Caribbean? Did they? Dominican? Did they play?
Yeah, and they played in Curacao. The league played there. But there's a couple places that didn't play because COVID was rampant over there too.
All right. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, I think we're going to have some more weeks to talk about this topic. So right now we'll move on. Let's talk a little bit about the NCAA.
All right.
Let's start with the Juwan Howard situation.
You want to start with the slap in the face right off the bat?
You know, I'm of two minds here, right? And I think Rick disagrees with me. I talked about it the other night, obviously. What Juwan Howard did was absolutely wrong. He incited, both teams into this, but I can't say Greg Gard is not also responsible because Juwan Howard said to him twice, "Get your hands off me." And he didn't do it. And,
which is why I don't think it's going to go to even be filed in a police case, to be honest with you, because it was two people acting a fool, man.
I watch it 100 times, and he doesn't have a fist in his hand, so he pulls his hand back. So,
right.
You watch it. There's a bunch of different angles you can watch. Now, I saw even a new one today. His hand was wide open when he reached over and slapped one of the assistant coaches in the face, basically.
Yeah.
Look, can't do it. I'm not going to excuse him for doing it.
No, of course.
Greg Gard's actions in that handshake line instigated what happened. In my mind, it's not the play on the court. You look at Juwan Howard's mad about a timeout with 15 seconds left. Who cares
there was 5 seconds left, and then he called a timeout and got it reset to 15 or 10 seconds or something like that.
That's fine too. And who cares? Juwan Howard's still pressing, trying to win the game. So
yeah,
he'll be coaching.
Look, there's two wrongs don't make a right. The bad thing is they both coaches should be embarrassed for acting like little kids in front of growing men, and they're giving these guys a bad lesson here on how to control themselves and how to be patient. And for what it's worth, listen, you don't need a handshake line. It's just something that's been traditional. Times change. If you want to just be real, listen, get rid of it. Take hands in the beginning of the game. Say good game, let's go, good luck, and that's it. You've done it, and then after the game, you bow down, you go home.
I'm okay with the handshake. But the adults need to act like adults. That's all.
Of course, always, 100%. That's why he got. That's why there was consequences, and he's not coaching into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I hate finding myself in a position to defend Juwan Howard just because he instigated. Well, he didn't instigate it. He didn't instigate it. He wanted to walk by and just. That's it. I'm done. Right? He's not happy. He did say, "I won't forget this." Right? But Greg Gard could have just ignored him and walked by him. And we wouldn't get any of this. Right.
No, again, this is why he's only suspended and not kicked out for the rest of the year.
Right.
Because he was, from his part, and I'm sure they viewed it 100,000 times, and they had to give some information back to the NCAA because the NCAA was like, "You guys figure it out. Your schools can figure it out. We'll let you guys handle that."
Yeah,
but again, Juwan Howard, this is strike 2, right? He needs to calm down. He needs to find, he needs to go and hang out with Aaron Rodgers and find a place to, find his cheek, because this is not good. Well, maybe it doesn't look good for Michigan, and I'm sure he's a good coach and a good person, but this doesn't make him look like it, right? No, it's all about image at the end of the day,
It's a bad look for Michigan. It's a bad look for Wisconsin. It's a bad look for NCAA basketball as a whole. I mean, because there's a lot of this that happens, and maybe you're right about the handshake thing. I don't know. I just don't think.
Hey, Patrick Ewing, a lot of people from different from the different divisions or different leagues were like, "Hey, we can do away with it. We don't need it. It's
Well, he's never won in a game, so he doesn't want to walk the handshake line.
Walk out with some pride, handshake.
That, and not a great time, obviously. Michigan's fighting for their tournament lives here, NCAA tournament lives, these last 5 games. They need to win. They're on the bubble, probably around the bubble, and they need to win some games and win a few games. He'll be back for the Big Ten Conference tournament.
Yeah, but they beat Rutgers. So
they did beat Rutgers, which is a big win. Rutgers have been playing very well. And Phil Martelli's no slouch as a coach. I said this the other night. He's a tremendous slouch. Not just kidding. It's an old Caddyshack joke.
Yeah,
but Phil Martelli's coached for a long time in college basketball, and he can handle this for 5 games, I think. So
he might take it over. Who knows? Maybe Juwan Howard steps out of the light. Who knows?
It's possible. I don't see Phil Martelli getting that job full time if Juwan Howard were to lose his
No,
job.
not full time, just for the rest of the tournament if they make it.
Tournament. You don't know what's going to happen in the next week, right? Or a couple of weeks.
Maybe Michigan pays Juwan Howard to not come back.
It's happened before.
Right.
Yeah. It's not a good look, and hopefully they get past this. And Michigan was starting to play. They had a horrible start to the season, and they were playing their way out of it and into contention for the tournament. So we'll see what happens. On that note, as we still got some time to chat about this for sure, I want to talk about who you see. This should say contenders, pretenders, and sleepers, by the way, not repeating contenders. Who do you see? I mean, the contenders to me are pretty simple. The no-brainers, Gonzaga's, the Auburns, Duke, and Kansas. Those guys are easy for me.
Providence.
Well, I put them kind of in. I don't put them in, as a lock, but I've got them in my sleeper category.
They're sleeper, yeah.
And I'll give you a sleeper that I like a lot, and I talked about them a lot, and I actually put a future bet on them, 100 to win $8,000.
Ooh.
Arkansas.
That's my team from last year.
Arkansas. I said this, so they'll go out in the first round now. Eric Musselman's doing a great job. That team is another team that started slowly. They lost like 3 starters from last year, but they have been playing some great basketball in a very good league right now.
SEC is tough this year for basketball, tougher than football for sure. Let me tell you, they got Tennessee, right? Kentucky's coming back from their slide. They have Arkansas. They have Auburn. Those 4 teams are going to have it out, man. It's going to be, Civil War type.
Yeah, that conference is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. So you guys be ready to watch some good basketball. Tune into some SEC, man, for sure.
So to me, the best 3 conferences in the league in the country right now. And I was on the Big 12 early on, and that one I think left the other night when I started ripping on them. The more I dive into the Big 12, there's just not much there past the first couple of teams.
Right.
And people are still talking about Oklahoma. Joe Lunardi's got Oklahoma in the tournament right now. They're 14-14.
No. Gosh.
The Big 10, the SEC, and the Big East, surprisingly enough, I think are the 3 strongest conferences in the country.
Who do you see out of the Big East, though? Like,
I could see them getting 6 or 7 teams in right now, depending on what happens in the tournament. And
name the top 3.
Last night, Sir Johns was playing themselves on the bubble. They got beat last night, but
name 3. Top 3.
The top 3: Villanova, Providence, and what's my other? Hold on, I'm losing.
I see Villanova and Providence. I see that.
Let me get my conference thing up here. Big East. I'll give you everybody. I think will get in. Villanova. Oh, Connecticut. Connecticut's in. In my mind, they're in now. Probably going to make it. Marquette's right there.
That's the thing with Marquette is they're not consistent, man.
I know they had a great stretch in the middle of the season, bad start, and they're kind of in a down stretch right now. We'll see. Again, tournament's going to mean a lot. You win.
It's basketball too. So
you can't go out in the first round of the tournament, but I could see definitely Providence, Villanova, and Connecticut are no brainers. That's 3. Creighton's in 4.
Look, Creighton's a sleeper.
Yeah.
How about that? How about Creighton as a sleeper?
Maybe they're starting to play better ball at the right time, and that's what matters a lot, right?
Right.
But if St. John's does some damage in the tournament, they could still help. They every time they get themselves near the bubble, they lose a bad game like they lost last night, and makes it hard. So
hey, listen, I'm in Queens, man. I hear about it.
I'll bet you do.
I mean, I haven't caught a St. John's game in a minute, so I'm thinking about maybe go catch one.
How about pretenders? How about guys we just they're up there in the rankings and they get talked about a lot, but I just don't think they're going to do it. I think myself.
Let me look at the rankings right now because
I think Duke is one of those teams.
Oh, jeez.
The problem with Mike Krzyzewski's last season, but I think they're a pretender. UCLA, who played great basketball early in the year, they're just on a horrible run, and I think they're a pretender. And And I think Baylor's a pretender because of injuries more than anything else. But I don't think they're a real legitimate contender right now to win this whole thing. So I'll give you 3 right there, or 4.
Yeah, those are good ones. What is going on over there in ACC land? What's happening, man?
It's funny. I've been bashing them all year long, and rightfully so. Lately, the league has gotten better. Syracuse, who was awful, is all of a sudden 9-7 in the league, and I think 17-10 maybe overall, something like 15-12 maybe.
But Hubert Davis is having a tough time at UNC, and
UNC's probably in the tournament.
Krzyzewski's like with Duke is on and up and down, up and down.
North Carolina doesn't have a signature win all year long. I mean, they're probably gonna make the tournament just because their record is good, but they haven't had a signature win all year. They got blown out at home. In Krzyzewski's last game at the Dean Dome, they beat them by like 22 points or something.
Crazy. It's crazy what's going on right now.
So
this tournament is going to be good because the parity. It's the small schools are going to have a great opportunity to beat some of these big schools because they're not playing that well at all.
See, we got a bunch of comments here. Let's UCLA did
lost.
That's what I was referring to. Watch Duke, and they do have flaws.
They do have a lot of flaws.
He does, Rick. That's the problem there. So it's really hard to judge even the teams with good records in the ACC how good they really are. Auburn's definitely a contender. I'll give you Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is a good sleeper. That's a good sleeper right there. Yeah.
It's going to be hard to call them a sleeper if they keep playing the way they're playing. They're moving their way up towards a two seed and maybe higher than that. Actually, Allen the other night thinks he can get to a 1. I don't know about that, but
what? That's pushing it.
Yeah, I would say that's pushing it too. He had to drive in the ice and didn't pay attention. I think that was the other night when Allen, you should have stuck around because I was really bashing your Big 12. Next week we'll do it again. Rick's got UConn, I think, as a contender.
I think Houston has more of an opportunity to climb into the top 5 than Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think Rick's calling them a contender because his next one is about even Auburn could get knocked off early. I agree. Gonzaga's not the team they were last year. They're playing great basketball, yes.
No, not at all.
But, they played really good competition early in the year like they always do. They go out and play everybody. But they're not the team they were last year. So I don't think there's one team. And you're right. I think all the 2s could go out in the first weekend, the first couple games.
Purdue, they've won a lot of close games.
They're having trouble with, interestingly enough, Purdue's been known for decades for their defense, and their defense is what's holding them back right now. They're not playing defense.
Yeah.
So they could be a pretender here. It's gonna be very interesting. What do we got here, Alan? He's explained to me why he couldn't multitask the other night. It's good to know, Alan. I'll see if we can get you another car. We'll start a GoFundMe for you. What else you got?
Oh, look at that. Murray State. OVC's in the top 20.
Who?
Murray State.
Murray State. And I like to watch them in majors. And I did part of the show I did 2 weeks ago. I talked about the top 10 mid majors in the country. Murray State by far is number 1. I mean, that they haven't lost in the league. I think they got 2 losses all year long. And I think they're in the top, they're moving towards the top 15. They're 19 now in the coaches poll with a bullet. They've been flying. So there's another, again, they're not going to win the NCAA tournament.
It just goes to show, John Morant did have some people around him,
You know what? How bad? And you know what? Decent segue. Let's get off of this because now I want to talk about the fact that Jay Morant could be a New York Knick right now.
Listen, I'm a supporter of the OVC because that's the school I went to, Austin Peay State University, in Tennessee, Clarksville. Listen, they have great competition. They have great players from all over the United States, all over the world. They have a lot of international players that come play in the mid majors.
Yeah,
in schools in OVC. John Morant is a miss for the Knicks for sure, and it's hurting them that the Knicks can't. But the Knicks can't draft well, man. Yeah. They don't draft well at all. They haven't been drafted well even after Patrick Ewing was on the team, right?
Yeah.
So
I left us very little time to talk about the Knicks and Nets again, which again we'll keep pushing them forward. We'll talk a little bit about right now. I mean, look at the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks and Nets, neither one of them may make the playoffs. I mean, neither one of them has got a good rudder right now. And I know you're going to blame Thibodeau for the Knicks, but to me, Leon Rose is still the major problem here. And he brought and put this team together. And you can't ask Thibodeau to coach a team that is not well put together and well constructed. You just can't do it.
I just feel like Thibodeau has a great experience. He's a good coach. And maybe he should coach St. John's, or a team here in Syracuse, right? Like use your skills to where they will work best. Because the NBA players, they don't want to, they're not going to listen to you, man. Look, I've been telling people Doc Rivers is in Philadelphia, and a lot of times you see him talking, and it's like the players aren't even listening to him. Yeah. Why have that caliber type of coach? And the players they're not reactive, So
because we're going to be a little short of time, do we see either one of these teams having any chance of making the playoffs, even the play-in portion of the playoffs this year?
The Nets are closer to the playoffs than the Knicks for sure because of the team that they have. They'll get Durant's coming back, or is he back yet? Did he start the other night?
I think he did, yes.
Yeah.
But is Ben Simmons ever going to play? I mean, what's his deal?
Hey, Harden comes back to play tonight for the 76ers, so Ben Simmons should be close as well, right?
Are the Nets better off with this triumvirate? Because to me, as long as Kyrie Irving's there, the problems are going to continue because the guy's just out.
I mean, they're better off. Harden's chasing the ring. He's not chasing a team to play on. He's chasing the ring. And when you chase the ring, you're bound to fall short because you can't get a ring by yourself at the end of the day, right? So I think Harden's the one who chose wrong. He's in Philadelphia. They might have Embiid, but I don't think they're going to – if they might win the first round, they won't get past the second for sure.
Let's see, the Thunder, full team full of rookies and young talent. He's a big Thunder fan. He's out in Oklahoma, Alan, if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah,
he's talking up the Thunder. He's right. They're tanking right now. They're playing all their kids are doing it the right way. He says, I'm not a big tanking fan, but however you got to do it, I guess. Yeah. And they didn't have their big three last night. I'm not sure who we're talking about. Maybe the Nets, I guess. I don't know. I think these teams both have fatal flaws that need to be fixed, and the Nets and the Knicks need to blow things up. And as much as I was a big Julius Randle fan last year, I think he needs to go.
Yo, look at Monty. How's Monty doing out there in Phoenix? He should have gotten
Monty Williams, but he's got a better team and a better management team working with him.
Listen, all I'm saying is that he was runner-up, and Tibbs beat him, and they should be at the same position now if they're both doing what they're supposed to do.
Not if you have a guy putting guys. I mean, getting Boston Celtic guys that Brad Stevens, as soon as he got to be the GM, got rid of, in Kemba Walker and Fournier and these guys. You brought in all these guys. Did anybody watch any tape on these guys at all before they brought them in?
Yeah, they're all definitely have peaked. They're far from.
And I can't blame Thibodeau for this. This is Leon Rose and his lackeys in the front office that went out and put this team together.
Listen, I know you're his agent. Try to find him a job at a good college. All right.
Well, you know what? It's time for Leon Rose to stop signing guys that he had a relationship with before as an agent.
That was what the Knicks brought him in, right? Because he has relationships, right?
Yeah. Well, how about with the right guys? Let's get some players in here. Well, we'll talk more about that as we go through the weeks, because the Knicks and Nets, it's going to be very obvious the next.
Hey, we're having a tough time here with sports in New York, bro.
What's going to happen? Yeah, it's not a good time to be a sports fan in New York for sure. All right, guys, I'm going to thank you for stopping in today, and Rick and Alan and Anthony and David and who else contributed here today. If I miss you, I apologize. Carlos, thank you for your inputs. Back, great to be back in the saddle. We got lots to talk about here, and we'll see you next week with more. We'll get to more in depth with the Knicks and Nets here soon. I promise you guys. But
all right, guys, have a good one.
Have a great day.
Happy week.